Today on the Healthful Pursuit podcast, I have noticed most of the time I have veins just everywhere in my arms, which I didn't before. And we're shifting towards slow twitch or type 1 fibers, which are fatigue resistant and don't generate as much power, but they can go for longer. And so that's why runners and hikers and endurance athletes follow an endurance program on season so we don't generate as much power. We don't need the power. We need to be fatigue resistant. Hey, my name is Leanne, and I'm fascinated with helping women navigate how to eat, move, and care for their bodies. This has taken me on a journey from vegan, keto, high protein to everything in between. I'm a small town holistic nutritionist turned 3-time international bestselling author turned functional medicine practitioner, offering telemedicine services around the globe to women looking to better their health and stop second-guessing themselves. I'm here to teach you how to wade through the wellness noise to get to the good stuff that'll help you achieve your goals. Whether you're seeking relief from chronic ailments, striving for peak performance, or simply eager to live a more vibrant life, this podcast is your go-to resource for actionable advice and inspiration. Together, we'll uncover the interconnectedness of nutrition, movement, sleep, stress management, and mindset, empowering you to make informed choices that support your unique health journey. Think of it as quality time with your bestie mixed with a little med school so you're empowered at your next doctor visit. Get ready to be challenged and encouraged while you learn about your body and how to care for it healthfully. Join me as we embrace vitality, reclaim our innate potential, and discover what it truly means to pursue healthfulness. Hey, my name is Leanne. I'm a functional medicine practitioner, and I am so thrilled that we get to hang out here and chat about one of my most favorite topics right now, which is working out. And I don't know about you, but for many, many years, I just thought if I go to the gym and I move my body enough and I'm consistent, I'll achieve my goals. And the consistency is definitely key. I've definitely noticed you're not going anywhere without the consistency. So that is number one. But you can't just show up at the gym and expect that randomly using machines or even following a program that you found online or you got from a coach is going to achieve your goals, because there are really 3 different types of goals when it comes to working out. And without getting really clear on what your goal is right now, your macros need to match this goal, your workout program needs to match this goal, and your goal needs to be clear. And so today I want to take you through the 3 different styles of training and how they're different, why they're different. Now, I should say I am trained as a nutritionist. I have very limited training in movement. And so I am by far not super knowledgeable in this area, but I really obsess over things. That's my ADD situation is I'll obsess over things and become a content matter expert quite quickly in areas because I just go down the rabbit hole and spend way too much time on it. So I'm not a professional in this space, but I have trialed and tested this on my body, and I feel pretty confident in the research that I've done. And so I'm excited to take you through it. So when we recorded, there was an episode that released on January 7th of this year, number 507, called The Weightlifting Program I Follow. And that was recorded right before Christmas. And when I met with my brother-in-law, who's this brilliant man, maybe one day we can have him on the show because he is so smart. He is definitely incredible. So we were chatting, and he has done a lot of training with Olympians. So he understands endurance. And I was telling him about my Patagonia track and how many miles I was going to put on these little feet of mine. And he's like, your training program is not going to prepare you for this. I was like, what do you mean? I'm lifting things and I'm going on the Stairmaster twice a week. Is this not enough? And he's like, absolutely not. So we chatted a lot about the different forms of training and the goals and how things need to match up. And I have seen such strong progression. I feel like physically I am absolutely ready for the hiking trek that I'm scheduled to go on. In fact, when this episode goes live, Lord willing, I will be on the trek. I am currently dealing with a pretty large physical issue that might limit my ability to walk, but it has nothing to do with my program. I injured my foot back when I was doing my Azores track in September, and I went to see so many specialists. They all told me like it's a post-tib issue, it'll be fine. Long story short, it wasn't a post-tib issue. And now I'm currently recording this. I'm exactly 4 weeks out and I'm still having foot issues to the point where I can't walk more than 2 hours. And most of the hikes are like 10. So if I kind of talk through that, it really sucks because my program, I've been working so hard at this, and I'm not only going to share the 3 different strategies and how your goals need to match and macros need to match, but I also want to take you through the program that I'm following, specifically the endurance program that I'm following. And what I've learned is that endurance is so different than strength building, which is so different than muscle building. And I would have to say muscle building is definitely my favorite. I like looking like I have muscle. I like being tight and toned, and I miss muscle building so much. I cannot wait until I get to go to the gym and do the things that I love, but I'm keeping my eyes on the prize with this endurance program. And so let's get into it. I've kind of given you little hints already. Okay. So there's a program type of strength, there's a program type of endurance, and there's a program type of muscle growth. Okay. So with strength, your rep range is going to be between 1 and 6 reps. Your rest period is going to be between 2 and 5 minutes. And the primary adaptation is neural efficiency or motor unit recruitment. And the fiber focus is going to be fast twitch type 2. Okay. Endurance, you're going to have a higher rep range, far more than strength. So this is your 12 to 20 plus reps. This is like 30 seconds to 1 minute. We're going to have metabolic efficiency when it comes to oxygen usage and fatigue resistance. And we're working on our slow twitch type 1. Then muscle growth is kind of in that medium range, and that's 6 to 12 reps. The rest period is anywhere between 30 to 90 seconds. And the primary adaptation for muscle growth is hypertrophy, to basically increase fiber size or muscle size. And the fiber type is going to be mixed, both type 1 and 2. And so when I look at most programs that come through my desk when I'm working with clients, it's usually endurance. And the women that I work with, specifically in macro coaching, where we connect on a weekly basis and we go through their workout programs and their macros and just get a sense of what they're doing, what their goals are. Many of them are on an endurance program, but wanting to get muscle growth results, meaning they're pushing cardio and HIIT classes and doing like lower weight movements at higher rep amounts, but wanting to like get 6-pack abs and have definition in their shoulders and their back. And you're not going to get that from an endurance program. I've been on my endurance program now for 5 weeks, and I've gotten quite soft around the edges because I was previously on a muscle growth program and really, really building up that hypertrophy and really building up muscle. And so most women, if you are wanting to look like you lift a lot of weights, you're going to go for a muscle growth program. If you're looking to run really far or walk really far or ski really well, you're probably going to be on more of an endurance program. If you're wanting to build up on strength, like you have a goal of, I don't know, getting a personal record in squats or just really building up your ability to take on more load, you're going to do a strength program. And so sometimes what I've noticed that strength programs, at least in my experience, when you're doing that lower rep range, you're not going to have as much muscle definition as you would on a muscle growth program. But what I've done in the past and for the last 2 years of lifting is I kind of go between muscle growth to strength to muscle growth to strength. And I really like that variation. This new program that I'm on is strictly endurance. And again, I'm going to take you through what the program looks like and how I'm working out and what I'm doing and why. And it's a lot. And I don't love it because I don't look as like muscly, which I like. I like that. And I also don't feel as strong. I keep longingly looking at individuals on like the lat pull, being like, I wonder if I can still lat pull 100 pounds because I hit that right before I switched the program. And I'm like, I feel so weak, but I'm excited to kind of see how this endurance program will move me forward in my training when I get back from Patagonia and what that will look like. I am really looking forward to seeing how having those slow twitch type 1 work helps me with the muscle growth program. So let's take you through each individual piece, and I'll kind of summarize each program and give you more information, because this information was rather new to me. When I was talking to my brother-in-law, I'm like, yeah, I know. Like I go between like strength and muscle building, and I understand that, and endurance kind of falls in line with that. And I learned this in school, but it's been a hot minute, and kind of applying it to my own training, I've seen huge results. And now seeing that, kind of thinking of every plan that I see ladies on, many of us are in the wrong realm for the goals that we have. And I think that that's why many of us get really discouraged, because we're just doing the wrong thing and expecting a different result. And that's never going to help. So when it comes to a strength building program, like I said, the goal is to increase maximal force output, like how much weight you can lift. So on a strength building program, you're keeping track of, last time I did squats, it was 150 pounds. I'm going to try to do 155 this time, and I'm going to do lower reps. So maybe when you're doing squats, you can do 100 pounds at 8 reps, but could you push like 150 if you only did 1 or 2 reps? And so you're typically in the rep range of 1 to 6 reps per set, with like heavy weights, like 80 to 100% of your max output you would have on the weight, whatever that is. Now, because you're lifting so heavy, your rest periods are going to be pretty long. How I measure my personal rest periods when I'm in a strength building program is I wait until I'm fully recovered. That's usually with my heart rate. Like if I can't breathe, it's not the time to start a new set. And so you want to allow for full recovery. And so what I see a lot of the times in like an endurance program is we wait too long between reps. And so we won't build up on endurance if we're waiting 2 to 4 minutes between our sets. We want to keep the heart rate elevated. So what I see often is that individuals will think that they're doing an endurance program and do endurance movements. They'll want a muscle building result, meaning they build muscle, and they're waiting in between sets too long. So they're not even building endurance. This is like, when I look around the gym and I watch individuals work out, I'm like, yeah, this is the majority of the individuals in here are doing this. Now, when it comes to a strength building program, generally the training type is high intensity, low rep, high weight with compound lifts like squats, deadlifts, bench press. And where we're looking at the adaptations when it comes to a strength building program is going to be in the nervous system. We're going to become more efficient at recruiting motor units, improving coordination between our muscles. It'll increase rate coding, basically faster firing of motor neurons, and intermuscular coordination, basically better activation of muscle groups working together. So in the case of, say, a squat, one area that people can oftentimes struggle with is knowing where to place the attention in a squat. And so depending on where we are in leaning forward or back or stability issues, we want to have like the quads firing, the abductors, adductors firing kind of all at the same time, moving the weight up, right? And so you're learning how to have multiple muscle groups working together to achieve the goal. And muscle fiber recruitment shifts toward fast twitch fibers, which generate more force, but fatigue quickly, right? So that's why, like, if you can do more than 6 reps on a strength building program, you're not putting enough weight on and you're not achieving the goal. So the strength training with strength building focuses on the neurological efficiency rather than the muscle size. So you're really training your brain and your nerves to fire more powerfully and effectively rather than just growing muscle tissue. Okay. So there's a time for strength building. It's one of my most favorite. I stinking love strength building. It's so fun to see what you can achieve when you apply yourself. And I really love the nervous system regulation I get from this. My nervous system, when I've overdone the muscle building hypertrophy program and I go onto a strength program, oh, it's so juicy. It feels so good. And the nervous system is just totally reset. It's one of my most favorite things. So that is a strength building program. Okay. Headaches, fatigue, muscle cramps, and even sleeplessness sound familiar. These are often signs of an electrolyte imbalance. Electrolytes are essential for hydration, nerve function, and even hormonal balance. I've seen incredible changes in clients when they start addressing their hydration with the right electrolytes. That's why I've been using Element Daily for years. It's clean, effective, and has the perfect balance of sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Element has no added sugar, no artificial ingredients, and it delivers exactly what your body needs to stay hydrated and energized. I love mixing the chocolate caramel flavor into my protein shakes or adding a citrus packet to sparkling water for a refreshing boost. If you're tired of feeling sluggish or dealing with cramps and headaches, Element can make a huge difference. Right now, they're offering a free sample pack with any purchase, so you can try all of their flavors risk-free. Visit drinklmnt.com/KDP to get your free sample pack with any order. And remember, it's backed by a no questions asked refund policy, so you can feel confident giving it a try. Then we have the endurance program. So our goal here is to improve muscular endurance. So basically the ability to sustain activity for a long time. So if I'm doing a strength program where I'm doing low reps and I'm working on my nervous system and my ability for muscles to fire, and then I go on I have a planned 50-kilometer hike, I haven't trained for that hike. Okay. So the ability to sustain activity for a long time is not strength building. It's an endurance program. And so the rep range is going to be 12 to 20 reps per set with light to moderate weight, usually 40 to 60% of our 1 rep max. I have really learned to tie into the RPE scale, or rate of perceived exertion. You can just find this online. And so generally with endurance programs that I've seen online and researched, the RPE, or rate of perceived exertion, is going to range from starting at 3 all the way to 10, and then a couple of days where you're just doing like a 7. And so we want to keep the weight like lighter to moderate so that we can maintain like a 7 RPE. And a 7 RPE to me is like just at the point where I could maybe lose my breath, but not to the point where I'm like gassed. Okay. So does that make sense? And so the rest periods, like I mentioned in the endurance program, are going to be short, like 30 seconds to a minute. I really struggle with this because I hate feeling my heart rate elevated. I don't love it. It always makes me uncomfortable. It will affect my sleep long term. My nervous system doesn't do well in endurance programs. And that's why I got out of running. I think that's why I'm not recovering well from injury. My body just has a hard time with this. And you will know where your body sits if you kind of listen to this and you're like, oh, wow, yeah, my program is a mix of all of this. I'm going to choose X and I'm going to work on it for 6 weeks. You'll notice which one you prefer and which one you feel most regulated with. Now, with an endurance program, the training type is high rep, light resistant, often circuit style or supersets. So you're doing like back-to-back workouts. And I'll explain this when I go through the endurance program that I follow. The primary mechanism is metabolic adaptations for the endurance. So we're increasing mitochondrial density. Basically, your muscles produce more energy and using oxygen. I've found that upping my MitoPure supplement through all this has been super, super helpful. We're also improving capillarization, basically more blood vessels delivering oxygen and nutrients. I have noticed like most of the time I have veins just everywhere in my arms, which I didn't before. And we're shifting towards slow twitch or type 1 fibers, which are fatigue resistant and don't generate as much power, but they can go for longer. And so that's why runners and hikers and endurance athletes follow an endurance program on season so we don't generate as much power. We don't need the power. We need to be fatigue resistant. And then also, and I noticed this about week 3 into my program. Initially, my lactate clearance sucked. Like I would get on the bike and within a minute, my legs would hurt so much. I felt like I was going to die. Now, over the last couple of weeks, I noticed that I don't have that same lactate buildup. And so our lactate clearance is efficiently improving, meaning our muscles recover faster during prolonged activity. So training for endurance isn't about maximum force. It's about sustaining effort over time. So your muscles will adapt to becoming more efficient at using oxygen and clearing waste products rather than growing significantly in size. And that's why I say, oh, when I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, this is hard because my muscles were getting pretty big and I was really, really liking it. And I have definitely tightened up because the amount of cardio that I'm doing, but it's just, I don't have the bulk of the muscle that I did previously. And I could get into my head about how much muscle am I losing and what's happening. I'm trying not to think about that. I'm just thinking about, okay, I have a goal. It's endurance right now. I'm going to see how this goes. And it could be an absolute gift when it comes into my muscle building program in March when I get back. And so I'm hoping that I'll be pleasantly surprised and be like, dang, I'm so happy I did endurance because now moving into my muscle building, I'm like so better at this. And so let's move into muscle building or hypertrophy. The goal here is to increase muscle size. Our rep range is going to be between 6 to 12% and moderate to heavy weight, usually about 65 to 80% of your 1 rep max. And our rest periods are going to be like moderate, 30 to 90 seconds to create the metabolic stress while still lifting heavy enough. Okay. So the training type is really volume based with both compound and isolation movements. Example, like bench press, bicep curl. And the primary mechanism is muscle fiber hypertrophy. So that hypertrophy is really where the build is coming from and where you're going to see the muscles be big and awesome. So it increases myofibrillar hypertrophy, basically the growth of contractile proteins, increasing strength. It increases the sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, basically the growth of the fluid-filled space around the muscle fibers, increasing in size but not strength. And so if you watch the show Reacher, I don't recall the actor's name, but he is hilarious. And I follow him on Instagram because it's just always fun watching his reels and things. And he said, like, all this muscle size, you'd think that I could lift a car, but I'm actually so weak. And that's because he does muscle building hypertrophy. Like, he is training to be big. He's not training to be strong. And there is a big difference. So we increase in size, but not strength with these programs. It induces mechanical tension, basically strengthening and loading the muscle under resistance. It creates muscle damage, which triggers repair growth via satellite cell activation. It generates metabolic stress, leading to increase in growth factors like IGF-1 and hormonal responses like testosterone, growth hormone, mTOR activation. Muscle building is my favorite, obviously. And it's unlike strength building because hypertrophy relies on moderate loads with high volume to maximize mechanical stress and time under tension. Unlike with strength training where you don't have a lot of time under tension, the muscle building program, you'll have a lot of time under tension, obviously, because you're doing 6 to 12 reps as opposed to 1 to 6 with the strength. And it's unlike endurance because it doesn't prioritize oxygen efficiency, but rather muscle fiber growth. Okay. So they could not be more different. Like if you are on an endurance program, okay, like most of the classes that are hosted in most gyms, I'm not going to say all because there's definitely other options, but most of those programs are endurance programs and you are not going to see your body change substantially the way you look at it. So if you've been at the gym and you're like, what's going on? I'm doing 5 to 6 classes a week and I'm not seeing changes in my body. It's likely because you're on an endurance program and you're getting better at using your energy, which could benefit you if you're like, I don't know, going on a race or something, and can improve the endurance overall. But likely, unless you know you need endurance, the endurance program, in my opinion, is probably the lowest priority for most people who just want to change the way their body looks and be stronger as we age. Like as we age, we want to have muscle and be able to lift heavy things, right? The endurance program is not going to help you achieve that very well. And so that's why it can be more helpful to get on a muscle building and or strength program and kind of rotate between them. Myself personally, I like to change out my programs every 10 to 12 weeks. And I've really liked the strength and then muscle building and then strength and then muscle building. And I love that rotation. I don't know if I will ever, never say never. I'm going to plan to make a podcast episode when I get back from Patagonia and just do a recap, and that'll go live in April. And it'd be really unfortunate if I don't get to do the hike because I've worked so hard. You'll hear my program. It's insane. I've worked so hard. The coaches at the gym constantly are like, whoa, that mountain should be afraid. But if my foot doesn't do what my foot is is needing to do, there will be no hike, which is a huge bummer because not only have I put so much time and energy into my training, but I've put so much time, energy, and money into the planning of this trip. And so I'm just trusting God with the next steps and realizing that I'm kind of at the end of myself when it comes to solutions. I've really tried everything. I have 2 different physios, a chiropractor, trying to help me figure out what's going on. And we'll just have to see. So hopefully I'll get back and say that was the best ever. And hopefully I will get back and say that was the best ever, but I don't need to do another hiking trek because I think tying a vacation around a physical goal is just not pleasurable for me. And I don't think it's pleasurable for a lot of people. I think that's why when we have, an event coming up and we say like, I want to lose X pounds before the event, it's just stressful and yucky and turns this wonderful event into just a bad experience, in my opinion. So before we get to the endurance program that I'm following, and I'll kind of share what that looks like, I want to help you kind of determine if you're a little bit stuck. In simplicity terms, what program should I choose if I'm not sure what my goals are and all the things? So if you want to get stronger, focus on a strength program. So that's low reps, heavy weight, long rest. This is especially helpful when we are nervous system fatigued and just need more support, but want to keep lifting. If you want endurance or muscle stamina, like you're running or walking, like you want to walk long distances or kayak or ski and have that endurance because your body just can't handle longer endurance sessions, then go with an endurance program. So that's going to be the high reps, lower weight, and short rest. And if you want bigger muscles, then you want to focus on the hypertrophy program, which is moderate reps, moderate weight, moderate rest. Yeah. You can also do hybrid training where you can blend different approaches, but combining endurance with strength in the same workout is going to be a really bad idea. So strength needs like full recovery where endurance requires fatigue tolerance. And so combining them together is usually not a great idea, but combining the hypertrophy with strength training can really, really pair well because both involve like lifting weights and you can kind of go between both if you want. I love compartmentalizing my goals and just really being like, right now for the next 2 to 3 months, I'm going to focus on strength or I'm going to focus on building. Yeah. Cellulite. We all got it. We all hate it. We all want it to go away, and not all of us will achieve this for sure. There are many reasons why we have cellulite. The 2 common root causes that I see over and over and over again have to do with liver dysfunction and therefore lymph drainage pathway issues. So if your lymph is not healthy, if your liver is not fully supported, chances are you're going to have cellulite. So I would definitely suggest focusing on those 2 aspects. But another piece to cellulite function has to do with our balance of collagen and also our ability to correct our skin connective tissue. So if you're looking to tackle cellulite from a skin connective tissue situation, the texture specifically, BioCell collagen could be the solution that you're looking for. Did you know that collagen and hyaluronic acid, key components of BioCell collagen, have been shown to reduce the appearance of cellulite? So here's how it works. Cellulite occurs when fat cells push up against the skin connective tissue, leading to a dimpled appearance. Collagen helps to strengthen the skin's connective tissue, making it firmer and and more elastic, while hyaluronic acid hydrates the skin, making it look smoother and more even. Together, these powerful ingredients work from the inside out to improve the appearance of your skin and reduce cellulite. Since I started talking about BioCell collagen, I've noticed a real difference in my personal skin's texture. It's smoother, it's firmer, with far less noticeable cellulite. It's become a key part of my daily routine for maintaining healthful and youthful looking skin. But again, I also support my liver and my lymph. If you're ready to see a difference in yourself, you can go to mygrowinghair.com to get a month's supply of BioCell collagen for $25 off. Plus, if you set up a subscription, you'll save an additional $25 off every future order forever. That's a 15% savings every single month. And when you purchase through my site, I'll send you a personal text message from my phone number so that we can stay connected on all things collagen, hair, cellulite, skin health, nail health. Don't wait. You can visit mygrowinghair.com today and start your journey to smoother, firmer skin. So let's get into the program that I'm following. I'm going to, like I did in the last episode, because many of you said this was helpful, I'm going to go through what my weeks have looked like, what my week is kind of structured as. This is probably the most training I've done since I trained for a triathlon back in my early 20s. It's pretty cool how much stronger I am going into this. But like I said, I'm super bummed that every time I go by the workout floor, because my gym has like all these machines and free weights and everything kind of in the middle of the gym. And I haven't been in there for 5 weeks. And I just longingly look at it as I go into the like open gym area and grab like little baby kettlebells and get to work. It's just not the same. So, okay. So my week is a 6-day split. Yes, actually 6 days. Ask me how my sleep is. No, I'm kidding. My sleep is pretty good. I have been dealing with a little bit of anxiety, which I think is likely caused by the increase in movement. But I think more so, it's just the worrying that I won't be able to do the event. And so I'm trying to, when I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm just worried about it, I just, release it to God and just say like, you need to take this. I don't know what to do with it. I really felt like this would challenge me. And I really enjoy walking in nature. I love connecting to nature. So if this is meant to be, it'll be. And if it's not, you'll just show me a way. And then I try to go back to sleep. So other than that, I think overall my experience on an endurance program has been pretty good. Just that longing to go back to strength has been really strong. So we start off on Mondays with a ruck walk. Basically, I fill my bag that I'll be carrying for the hike on my back and I fill it with weight to get it to at least 10 pounds, which isn't too bad. And then I started at a lower timing at like 75 minutes every Monday. And then I've slowly worked up. And this week I'm on week 5 and I'm at 120 minutes and just so basically 2 hours. And I've been rotating some incline in there. And then I get home, I eat, I do some work, and then I go in for session 2, which is in the gym. And I do a warm up and then I do a bunch of supersets. So my first superset is a barbell back squat along with a dumbbell tripod row. And like, for example, when we're doing endurance, like I said, it's going to be like these reps are between 5 to 8, maximum 12. And the superset is going to be and the next superset rather is going to be a barbell B stance deadlift along with a push-up shoulder tap. And then the third superset is going to be a machine barbell hip thrust along with Arnold press. And then I'm doing a glute burner and then recovery. So that is Monday. And we slowly go up in RPE starting at 3 all the way to 9.5. So my first lift is lighter and then I kind of work my way up to insane, really hard to do, really hard to finish. Tuesdays are a little bit different. I go into the gym only once, yay, and I do some warm up and then I have a couple of supersets all at a 7 RPE. So that's like almost where I could run out of breath a little bit, but I can still maintain somewhat of a conversation. This day specifically on my program is the hardest one for me. It is so geared toward endurance and I'm getting better, but it's still pretty hard. So my first superset is a dumbbell step up, Turkish get up, and then bear position kettlebell pull through. The second superset is a 3-way lunge, hollow body rocks, and a dumbbell 3-way raise. So it's basically a lateral raise with a front raise and then up to the sky and down. And then my third superset is dumbbell glute bridge march with cable tricep extensions and side plank with a reach under. And my fourth superset is a lying hamstring curl with a low plank knee to elbow, I should say. Then I get on the bike and I do short interval training, slowly working up in sets. And then I roll out my quads and my back and all the places and call it a day. Wednesday is my quote unquote active rest day. I hate active rest. It makes no sense. It's a total oxymoron, but we're here for it. So Wednesdays is about an hour and a half of zone 1 cardio, like 50 to 60% of your max heart rate. So for me, that's around 110 or so BPM. And so I do the Stairmaster for that. And I was doing the elliptical, but it was angering my foot. And so I switched to the bike. I could also swim, but it's freezing. So no, thank you. And then Thursday is very, very similar to my Monday. So I go for another longer walk. Well, shorter compared to the other days, which we'll get to in a second. But I do a walk with my rucksack or my bag in this case. And I started off at 75 minutes. And every week we add about 10% time. And I include inclines in that. So I just use the bridges here because we have no inclines anywhere. And then I go home, I eat, I work, and then I go to the gym in the afternoon and I do a warm up. Then my first superset is split squat, like a Bulgarian torture is what we call it, on the dumbbell bench press. And then my second superset is a single leg RDL, and then followed by a machine reverse fly. And then the third superset is a neutral grip chin up with cable pull throughs. And then we do a low body finisher where basically I do speed squats and reverse lunges and jump lunges, lots of jumping, and then recovery. Okay, Friday is I go into the gym just once. Yay. And it's similar to the Tuesday outline, but a little bit different. I do activation and then work on some physical therapy prep for my feet. And then my first superset, all with a 7 RPE. So my first superset is curtsy lunge with split stance cable row and a high to low plank. And then the second superset is a dumbbell walking lunge with cable ab curl and cable face pull. The third superset is a machine hip abduction with bicep curls, dumbbell bicep curls, and then a straight leg adductor squeeze. And then the fourth superset is a lying hamstring curl and stability ball plank circles. And then I go into the bike room and I do a longer interval conditioning. So you remember on Tuesday, I do short interval conditioning. And then on Friday, I do longer interval conditioning and slowly working up my sets. I started at 8 sets with 3 minutes on, 1.5 minute rest. And I've worked up now to 11 sets. And then I roll myself out. And then Saturday is the long walk. And this has been a super challenge for me because of my injury. And I did 3 hours and it was okay. And then I learned how to tape and now I'm having another problem. And so last week I did 5 hours and it felt like somebody was taking the most painful piece of wood and slapping the bottom of my feet with it with every step. And it was hot and inflamed and terrible. I think I'm praying. If you're a praying woman, I need you to pray for me because hopefully when you're listening to this, I am literally hiking the mountains in Patagonia. If you could just remember, just say a little prayer that my feet would just be okay. My theory right now is that because boots limit my ankle mobility, it's causing issues because I've never had issues like this wearing shoes or sandals, but it was required to wear boots. And so I've been training in boots. I hate boots. And so I actually bought a pair of shoes and I'm going to start training in them over this next month. And I'm just going to show up to the trail with shoes rather. I bought new shoes, not boots. Ew, did I say boots? We do not want boots. So I'm going to show up to the trail and hope to God they let me do the trek with shoes. I don't even care if my feet are cold and wet. I would rather they be cold and wet than in pain. But another theory I have when it comes to training and different altitudes and temperatures, when I'm at home in Canada, when I go for long walks, the bottom of my soles don't hurt at all. I went for a super long walk in Canada, no problems, no feet issues. And so it might be that just the heat, because it was very, very, very hot on my walk last Saturday when I did 5 hours. So I'm hoping that just being in Patagonia, it being cold, my feet are in my boots, they're nice and warm, and they're not too hot, not too cold, just right. And everything goes well. So if you remember to just pray for me, this episode goes live the day that we start hiking. And so it would just be great if you could remember to pray. So Saturday, I've been increasing about 10% in volume in my training for walking on Saturdays. And then I go home, I eat literally everything. And then I go to the gym for a very quick session. It takes me about 45 minutes and it's a 7 RPE work. And most of it has to do with like core stability. Like the first superset is goblet squats with a TRX row and dumbbell single leg RDL. Then we have the superset of kettlebell swings, mini band, feet elevated psoas march, and then inchworms. And then the third superset of high to low farmer's carry, stability ball V up, and a side plank with a cable row. And then I do a bunch of recovery and stretching. And I thought it was going to be very hardcore going into the gym after literally walking for forever, but I really enjoy it. And it's a great way to just, flush all the pain out. And I really enjoy going to the gym in the afternoons on weekends. So yeah, that's the endurance program that I'm following now. Many of the sets are based on timing. So between 30 to 45 seconds on. Between the supersets, I'm taking a 30-second rest, basically enough time to just get the elastic band off of my feet and then do it again. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing since the beginning of January. And hopefully this will prepare me. There was definitely, like I said, that third week, I noticed my lactic acid was clearing really, really well. And I'm able to maintain that top of zone 1 into zone 2 like very easily, very effortlessly. If you remember, I said like I have a hard time being at a higher heart rate, but I'm not as uncomfortable at the higher heart rate. So I think that that's a good sign. And what I really want you to take away from today's episode is really understanding the difference between the programs, because like I said, strength is different than endurance, and it is different than muscle growth. And if you really, really, really want to get strong, but you're on a muscle growth program and you're like, why can't I lift XYZ? And why are my muscles showing so much? I don't like this. That you're just on the wrong program. And most individuals are in the endurance program, but wanting a muscle growth result. And that ain't going to cut it. When it comes to macros, so there are very competing stances on this. I'm going to share with you what's worked for me. And then I'll share with you what I've seen work in other people. So when it comes to strength, endurance, and muscle growth, I don't see a huge shift in macros. For me, I've noticed that endurance, I crave less protein and far more carbohydrates and a little bit more fats. I'm eating more now in endurance than I ever have in strength or muscle growth. And I've lost weight. I'm trying not to think that that's muscle weight lost, though, if I did a DEXA scan, I'd probably cry. So I'm just not even going to do it. And so with endurance, I've found that carbohydrates during the endurance activity, like my long hike, I bring carbs with me and I find that I really need them. Now, when it comes to endurance, a lot of people can use fat for fuel. I tried that in my last trek and it did not go well. It made me very, very nauseous and it was not a good idea. So that's not something that I will personally do, but I have many, many friends and clients who I guide through using fat as fuel for endurance, and it works great. When it comes to strength and muscle growth, because there's hypertrophy and anaerobic activity, my personal opinion as a practitioner is that we require carbohydrates to do that. You can still train in the strength or muscle growth category and be in more of a ketogenic, low carb diet realm. The only difference is that you're really going to put the carbs before and after your workouts, specifically after, to help refuel better. And so, yeah, I would say with strength, if you're doing a higher carb approach, then you just eat carbs all the time. It's fine. You're probably going to need more protein on a strength program than you would a muscle growth program, and far more than you would on an endurance program. So let's use the example of my macros just to give you an idea, and don't totally freak out when I tell you how many carbs I'm eating. Okay. No judgment. You promise? Okay. So on a strength program, I would be probably around 200 grams of protein, maybe 220. I really like protein, with like 325 carbs and like 70 fat. On a muscle growth, it would probably be the same, maybe a touch more carbohydrates to like 350. And on an endurance program, it would be like 180 protein, 450 carbs, and like 80 to 90 fat. So you can see kind of the differences. I work in grams because percentage just gets so messy as you're calculating your own strategy, and you can never remember what you were doing and how it works. So I use grams, and that's how I roll. It's just far easier to wrap your head around, I think, long term, because you can know like, okay, well, when I was doing this, I was at this amount of grams and now I'm at this, whereas percentage, it's all over the place depending on your caloric intake, and that will shift. And so I've definitely found, like I said, with endurance, because I've added on so many more steps and cardiovascular events, I need more fuel. But what I found with endurance, I'm not as hungry. So I'm really having to force myself to eat. And I think that's because when we do, at least for women, I've noticed when we do those endurance programs, our adrenals kind of take a little bit of a hit, and that will cause us to not be hungry. So I've definitely noticed on the endurance program, most meals I'm forcing myself to eat, and I'm eating like 3,500 calories per day or so, depending on the day. So that's a lot of calories to force yourself to eat. But I keep repeating to myself, like, if you want to maintain the muscle mass you work so hard to get, like, you have to eat, because you need the energy. And the last thing we need is some issue with hormones and all the stuff. So I force it down and take my digestive enzymes, and that's what it is. But usually when I get started eating, I'm hungry. It's just a matter of like taking the time to think about eating the things, and then I'm actually hungry. So I hope that that's helpful in understanding some of the fuel capacities. Like I said, I've seen each the strength, endurance, muscle growth, use the ketogenic diet, use a higher carb diet. I've found for myself just results based, and how I feel, how I sleep, how I am, my hormones, everything is just better on the higher carb approach, and especially on endurance. Oh my goodness, I could just drown in carbs and feel really, really great. I just did my blood work. It's all looking good. So I'm good on that front, but it might not be the approach that everyone would take, and that's okay. And you can totally do something different. But okay, that's it for this episode. I hope you are seeing your program more clearly. You understand the goals, you understand the differences. And if you're looking to work with me one-on-one on macros and making things work for you so that you understand what to eat, when to eat, how to make all of this work well, you can go to healthfulpursuit.com, and there at the top, you can select shop, go down to the bottom under coaching, and get more information about coaching with me. Okay, we'll see you back here for another episode of the Healthful Pursuit podcast. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Healthful Pursuit podcast. Join us next Tuesday for another episode of the show. If you're looking for free resources, there are a couple of places you can go. The first, to my blog, healthfulpursuit.com, where you're going to find loads of recipes. The second is a free parasite protocol that I've put together for you that outlines symptoms, testing, and resources to determine whether or not you have a parasite, plus a full protocol to follow to eradicate them from your life if you need to. That's available at healthfulpursuit.com/parasites. And last but certainly not least, a full list of blood work markers to ask your doctor for so that you can get a full picture of your health. You can grab that free resource by going to healthfulpursuit.com/labs. The Healthful Pursuit podcast, including show notes and links, provides information in respect to healthy living, recipes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor is it to be construed as such. We cannot guarantee that the information provided on the Healthful Pursuit podcast reflects the most up-to-date medical research. Information is provided without any representation or warranties of any kind. Please consult a qualified health practitioner with any questions you may have regarding your health and nutrition program.